What is going on, prosperity practitioner Brandon Hanley here today? You know how we do. We're in the car. We are on the way home from picking up groceries, which makes me, of course, always think about the Alan Watts line that the wealth is not the money, the wealth is what money buys. Wealth buys the groceries, the eggs, the gasoline, etc. That's the wealth. The true wealth is what's on the conveyor belt, right? When it's going through and your groceries are going along. Anyways, that one every time now when I go and I buy groceries, that's the line I think about. I don't think about the money I have just invested in my groceries and my well-being. I think about that line. That is wealth. Wealth is on the conveyor belt. Today's prosperity practice quote comes to you from Roy T. Bennet. I don't know anything about Roy, not gonna lie, but I do know that Roy has given us this quote as it relates to prosperity. Believe in yourself. You are braver than you think. You are more talented than you know and capable of more than you imagine. And this is true because we limit ourselves. We limit ourselves to what we think we know. We limit ourselves to what we have tried maybe once. We limit ourselves to what we have tried maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times because we've been told that people learn from their mistakes. People learn from their mistakes. And to a lot of people, what that means is that one mistake is tantamount to failure. One mistake is tantamount to failure. I hate to use our man with the light bulb as the example. How many times did he make the light bulb? How many times did he fail? How many times did he make the mistake of creating a light bulb that did not work? Yet when Thomas Edison finally ended up with a light bulb that worked, he was a genius. The best scientist that ever lived. He didn't get there with his first try. I forget if it's 1,000 or 10,000, but now he knows XYZ ways to not make a light bulb. And so that's really something to keep in mind. You need to believe in yourself and to be brave to crash through that fence of non-belief in yourself because you've thrown it up once. If you put a few bricks up there, it doesn't matter. Maybe you made a huge wall. And you surrounded yourself and you protected yourself because of what you thought it meant to make a mistake. What you thought that it meant to be a failure. You thought making a mistake and learning from your mistakes meant I'm never going to do that again because I didn't get it right the first time I tried it. I didn't get it right the first 10 times I tried it, so that must not be for me. I must not be able to do that because I tried a couple times. Well, if I tried it a couple times and I can't do it, that's a mistake. I'm going to learn from my mistakes. My mistakes tell me that if I put my hand in the fire, I'm going to get burnt. Well, we know that you don't keep your hand in the fire, otherwise you end up with barbecue hands. So that same must be for every attempt that we make at something and it doesn't go our way. I tried that once, tried that twice, tried that 3 or 4 times, and you know what? The pain is too unbearable. I'm not going to be caught trying the same thing over and over again because I learn from my mistakes, people. You'll never see me doing that again and not getting it right. and people never see you making a mistake, does that make you perfect? Or does that make you a person who's not willing to take chances? Does that make you somebody who's afraid to live life? What are you afraid of? What is the fear? Because you are braver, believe in yourself, because you are braver than you think. Bravery is crashing into your fear, unabashed, unafraid. And you are more talented than you know. You are more talented. Again, this is in the same vein. I love the image of water making a stream or creating a stalactite, or the formation of so many things that water does. So many things that water does, but I love the idea of water creating a channel. Water that continues to drip in the same stream and the same cutting rocks. And there's even that image. Water at a high, super high velocity will cut through steel. Even the idea that you are, I don't know how much percentage of water, you are a high percentage of water, and there's nothing that I haven't been able to see water do. Water takes the shape of all forms. Water takes the shape of all sizes. Water can be gas. Water can be solid. Water can, be a liquid state, and I'm sure it can be a plasmic state. Is that even a word? I don't even know. Water can do everything. You are water. Such a huge percentage of water. There's new evidence now that there's a supercomputer being made out of drops of water. Not even huge bodies of water, such as your own body. Water has memory. There are things within you that you've been afraid to go near, that you've been wanting to go near, because you don't believe that you have the innate talent to do something. To maybe it's make art, maybe it's make a building, maybe it's I always go back to Dave Mooring, who I interviewed on Fatherhood for the Rest of Us, and he's talking about his son doing a stop motion Lego video. And his son was so upset because his first stop motion Lego video wasn't very good. He didn't like it. He goes, you know what, son, the first attempt's always not, it's never going to be great. Your first attempt isn't going to be the one. You build off of that. You build off of your failures. Your failures are stepping stones. Your attempts at creating and cultivating the talent is what you want to do. You see talent everywhere you go, and there's definitely talent within you. You are more talented than you know. You have to allow for the talent to grow and flourish. And your talent isn't going to be, we'll say, for example, Wolfgang Amadeus. Your talent isn't going to be Beethoven. Your talent is not going to be Jackson Pollock. Your talent is not going to be Gary Vaynerchuk. Your talent is going to be yours. 1000% you. You can only cultivate your talent. You can only become a talented you. When you become the talented you that you are, you have cultivated that talent. You have nourished it. You have helped it to flourish. You have brought it to light. And finally, you are more capable than you imagine. The funny thing is that even in your imagination, you have set up boundaries. I'll say it again. In your imagination, you have set up boundaries. Is there were somebody to come up to you and say, is there a boundary to the imagination? Would be a question that someone would ask you, and your first answer would be like, well, no, the imagination is unlimited. And of course, that is for everybody, anybody, except for you, right? Anybody except for you, because in your imagination, when you are involved in your own premiere, your own feature-length film, you don't even give yourself the lead role. Somebody else has the lead role in your play. In your lifetime experience, somebody else has taken up all the fucking screen time. Is that how you want it? Is that the play? Is that the life? Is that what you want to see? Is that all you can imagine for yourself? Are there boundaries on your imagination? Are there boundaries on the mind? Have you allowed yourself to be corralled into a finite space, even though, and I love this, there's an exercise in Headspace, creative package, one of my favorites in Headspace, where you first imagine the tiny little spark with your eyes closed in the center of your body, and you imagine that tiny little spark first filling up your body entirely. And then you imagine that spark going outside of the boundaries of your body. And then as large as your imagination can imagine. As large, takes up in the end, how far can that spark grow? What size can that grow to? My first several instances of that exercise, the funny thing was that I only imagined in my frontal purview, everything I could see in front of me. So it was basically, if I was standing up straight and looking, we'll say, to the north, that everything that grew outside of me grew before me. And I was like, well, that's not in all directions. That is not in all directions. And eventually, it did become all directions, 360 degrees, or I don't even know how many degrees there are, but it became a sphere where this light would open up. In that example, I had boundaries on all that I could imagine, because I couldn't imagine more. And then in the same scenario, I always imagine myself going to the edges of the universe, because that's as far as we've been told that can exist. What's beyond? So maybe right there, I have limited myself to what I'm even capable of imagining. So don't limit yourself to the edges of the universe. Don't limit yourself to the entire universe. Don't limit yourself to the limitless mind. What's beyond that? Today's prosperity practice quote is brought to you from Roy T. Bennet. Believe in yourself. You are braver than you think, more talented than you know, and capable of more than you imagine.